Happy Saturday to you. I hope you are having a great Saturday and a great weekend so far. You know the drill, baby. Jump into the comments, say, hey, where you tuning in from so I can give you the shout out that you so deserve. Mr. No Parkin, always appreciate you tuning in and supporting the show for sure. Again, my name is Don Terrell, and I want to welcome you to another great episode of The Color of Motion, where I like to say, hey, stories come in all shades. And I highlight people of color and diverse backgrounds in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. This space that I'm just aesthetically crazy about. Again, I want to welcome you to the show. I hope everybody is having a great week and a great weekend so far. Appreciate you, Mr. Jonathan Tran. Hello, and thank you for joining the show. I'm sure my next guest appreciates you supporting him for sure. Let's get into a little housekeeping there. Make sure that you connect with us over in the Facebook group community, facebook.com/groups/The Color of Motion. Our family is growing. We're having a lot of fun over there, engaging conversations, sharing industry news, and just having a bunch of fun. So make sure you hop on over there, join into the community for sure. Also, make sure that you join and connect with me on all my social channels. You can find me here. Of course, you can find me on all my social channels there. I definitely want to hear from you. Let me know what you think of the show, what you might want to see, some guests you might want me to try and get on. But definitely you can connect with me on all of these channels as well. Like I said, we live stream to LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook group, and on the website as well. But I always kind of highly suggest people get plugged into the YouTube channel. Hop on over there, subscribe, hit the bell notification, give a thumbs up, join in. There you can see all the great content that I'm planning on putting up there and that's going up there. Plus, you can see all the past great guests that we've had on the show. So hop on over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on any great content that goes up on the channel for sure. Granny, I appreciate you tuning in there, Maggie, for sure. Always my favorite person there. She always keeps me on track as far as getting people to subscribe and hit the bell notification. So I appreciate that for sure. Granny, you tuned it in. Miss Aaliyah Hammer, I appreciate you tuning in from Colorado and checking it out on LinkedIn. I appreciate that for sure. Mr. Downtown, I always appreciate you, DeMille. Another diehard fan and great guest I had on the show, so looking forward to having him back on for sure. But I appreciate you there, DeMille, for coming in. Oh my goodness, Mr. Antoine Cunningham, I appreciate you tuning in. Looking forward. He's a future guest on the show. I think he's in December. So a super talented animator. First time tuning in into one of these live streams. I appreciate that, Antoine, and can't wait for our episode for sure. So yeah, thank you. I hope this isn't your last time either. So for sure. Miss Granny, make sure see, she always keeps me on track. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share as well. Share this out to your community. If you know of a creative, an animator, motion graphics, or just an all-around creator that loves to create, make sure you share this because, like I said, we not only have fun on here, but our guests definitely drop a lot of wisdom into the industry, how to get into the industry, what they think. So you'll always find some great content and wisdom in these shows for sure. Before I do move on, I definitely want to give a shout out to our sponsor for this show, Toon Boom. If you are a 2D animator, Toon Boom has been a great sponsor so far. We had a very fun giveaway a couple of months ago of their software, a couple of their software, Harmony and Storyboard Pro. We gave away a couple of licenses. So if you are a 2D animator or artist and have heard of Toon Boom, I definitely know how much you love them. They are a great sponsor. We're looking forward to doing some more giveaways in the next month or so. So definitely stay tuned for that as well. Mr. Kenny D. Mr. Kenny D always scrumptious. Every time I read his comments, I always think of Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory because of the way he describes it. Scrumptious, delectable, deliciously, edibly tasty, good, heartfelt thoughts with us today. I appreciate you, Kenny D, as always, being a loyal viewer as well. All right. With that, I think we're about ready to get this train rolling. And I know that you are going to be so excited about this episode. Looking forward to it. Like I said, I know I've been looking forward to it as well. And without further ado, we're going to dive into it. My next guest was born in Chi-Town, Chicago, Illinois, but grew up all over. His family never stayed in one place for very long, but their travels allowed him to develop a deep love for the many diverse cultures he was fortunate enough to meet along the way. Every couple of months, he would be exposed to a new way of life and a new voice. Throughout his journey, he has been very lucky to always find himself surrounded by kind people willing to help and reach out in whatever way possible. The phrase, "it takes a village to raise a child," resonates with him because that was how he was brought up. That's how I was brought up as well. Friends of the family, uncles, aunts, cousins, and neighbors gave him a lifetime of lessons he can never replace. And he wants to echo those experiences and wisdom that was passed on to him in his art. He wants to create stories and the art that follow themes of accepting change, living with empathy, and the value of compassion. His goal is to wrap these ideas into interesting stories based on his personal life story, as well as his Nigerian American experience. These ideals are what he wants to portray to the world so we can all live in a more united future. Definitely something good. In his free time, you can find him watching new cartoons, making comics for fun, playing Gundam games, or exploring his area looking for new restaurants. He loves learning about new ideas and cultures around the dinner table, especially if there's cheese. He loves cheese. So, everybody, please help me welcome my very special guest and friend, Mr. Gabriel Aghayere.
What's up, everybody?
All right.
That intro was awesome.
Hey, like I like to tell everybody, we bring our guests and friends on like the superstars that they are. So I appreciate you, Gabriel, for tuning in. Mr. Jonathan, rocking. All right, I appreciate you. I hope you're liking
Can I
it
do
for
a quick
sure.
shout out?
Yes, please do.
What's up, John? Good to see you, man. Oh, one more. Also, for like the promotional art, I've been using that same picture for like 3 years. Thank you, Shadia. Appreciate that. Never take another picture of myself again. I don't need to.
Oh man, appreciate you, Jonathan, for tuning in and supporting your boy for sure. Mr. Noel Parkin, as always, again, appreciate you tuning in. Miss Victoria, another, I guess, supporter. Hey, Gabe, Victoria, appreciate you for tuning in.
Victoria. Oh man, they got the whole fam watching. John, I
Oh man,
appreciate
I
that.
love it. I love it. I love it. Hey, you can't beat that. Mr. Kenny D, love the sound. I try. Thank you. Love the sound of my laughter. I appreciate that. Hey, we're here to have fun, have a great time, have good conversation. It's all fun and all good here. So I appreciate you. And like I said, it's viewers like you and guests such as Gabe that just make it such a fun experience for me. Uh, Jonathan, Illinois. Yeah, hey, like I said, we're kind of in the same area. I'm from Ohio, so not too far from not too far from you. I'm from up there. Kind of had to get out of the cold. It's getting cold up there now, so it's that time of year.
It's
So
not. You can't have fun when you're scraping ice, like 3 layers of ice off your car. It's just
I
not a
can't,
good look. It's not a
I
good
can't
look.
do it no more. Like I said, after a while, it kind of wore off on me, so I had to come down south. So,
It's
uh,
exactly what my family did. We're just gonna hit around till we hit some place where I don't have to worry about snow no more.
uh-uh,
Finally, they landed in
uh-uh.
Texas after a few years.
And it's funny because you come down here. I remember when I first came down and it snowed here in Houston, and everybody, all of my neighbors came outside taking pictures, and it wasn't. It was just flurries, and it didn't last long. But they came outside taking pictures, and I'm like looking around, like they were just so amazed, and I say, "You guys need to go up north and see that. You'll get a real idea of what snow is, and live up north for sure."
Oh,
Mr.
that stuff is so
Silas,
good.
appreciate
Silas, what's good, man?
appreciate you supporting your guy for sure. Right, I always like making these a little bigger. There, they come in. He says he misses you there, bro. All right,
Me too, me
like
too,
I
me too.
said, we're gonna have some fun here and dive into this. Gabe, like I said, I appreciate you so much for coming on the show. You do some amazing work, and we're going to take a look at some of Gabe's work in a little bit here. But I want to kind of start out and ask you, what was what was it that sparked your passion early on for comics, cartoons, and drawing? I mean, what was it initially that did it for you?
It's kind of honestly, inadvertently, I was brought up in it. I don't think my my brothers were planning on it to hold such a big impact as it did, but they had me watching cartoons and playing Street Fighter and watching X-Men when I was really young. Like before I could read and write, I could sing the X-Men theme song.
Ooh.
And it was that with Dragon Ball Z, and I always loved animated stories, and it was legit. I thought they were real until one day when I was watching Power Rangers, and I was like, "That's just part of life. Buildings blow up, and the Power Rangers come and fight, and they just do all this stuff. They just be flipping around." And then my mom was like, "That's no, that's not how that works, sweetie." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I can make it though." Yes. And then once I figured out that it was something that you could make, I was like, oh, "Okay, I know what I'm gonna do with my life. Done deal."
It's always surprising because, like I said, as a kid, I guess our thought is somebody actually does this for a living, and somebody actually makes a living drawing these and doing this for sure. So, like I said, I think it's interesting that it clicks for young artists. Oh, you can make a living for this. Did you have any inclination or notion of doing anything else as you were going through like high school and kind of coming out of high school?
When I was a kid, I started wanting to make comics and do stuff like that because I loved X-Men, I loved Wolverine, and when I told my dad is like fresh off the boat from Nigeria. He was not having. He was like, not my son. I will never forget the day I was like 5 years old. I walked. He was like, "Dad, I want to make comics. I want to be a comic book artist when I grow up." He was just,
Yeah, that
what I
look.
heard is you don't do enough homework. And then I had homework every summer since then.
Oh man,
But
I don't know what it is
it was for
about parents, and I guess if they're old school parents, most parents, they, like I said, don't think you're going to make a living out, or you can make a living out of it, in that it's a profession, and it's like, I think you need a backup. What are you doing as a backup plan?
my backup plan was the dumbest thing on earth. I wanted to be an engineer so I could make an Iron Man suit. And I took engineering classes from like I started in high school taking engineering classes. I went to engineering school.
Well, hey, I'm going to tell you, you did way better than me, because I made a Spider-Man costume out of some pajamas and thought I was Spider-Man.
Yeah. That's how you got to do it. You don't know you're not him until you try. You have to try first.
You got to. You got to. It's like, and then when you fall out, oh, I can't really stick to walls like that.
No.
Oh,
No,
man.
you gotta train up your reflexes first. Like sticking to walls, that comes later. First is the reflexes, then it's the web, then it's sticking to walls. You're like, all right, yeah, no, I'm Spider-Man. I may deliver pizzas now, but I'll be Spider-Man in about 5 minutes. Watch me.
Hey, that's my alter ego. I deliver pizzas. So were you? I'm really Spider-Man. I just
I
deliver.
support it.
Hey, Peter Parker did it in what was it, the second one or the third one? He was
Yeah.
a pizza delivery person.
He was the worst one ever. You get your pizza cold, flipped upside down in the box. I would have fought. Not knowing that he was Spider-Man and he delivered that pizza, I would have squared up with him.
It's tough being a superhero, man. It is tough being a superhero.
Do what every other superhero does. Sell merch. Come on, Spider-Man. Where's your grind set, Spider-Man?
Or be independently wealthy, where you can just make toys like Iron Man or Batman.
Yeah, but when you do the research on them, they're just like, man, their dads gave them the money and they're just out here messing around with it.
That's why people love Spider-Man, because he was an average guy. He struggled with making payments. He struggled with keeping girls. He struggled with all of that. So you can relate to it much more than you could, Bruce Wayne or, Tony Stark, even though they were great, for sure. Mr. Gabe, I appreciate that. Appreciate you tuning in. Well, like I said, we're having some fun here today. So I hope you guys... and please, like you say, if you have questions, please make sure that you throw them into the chat as well. Mr. Silas, you didn't try hard enough to, yeah. Now, I tell you what did it for me. I'm going to tell you what did it for me, Silas, was I hopped over my porch and didn't make it. So that's what did it for me. When I realized that, okay, I really don't.
Define didn't make it. Hold up.
I fell and fell straight down. I tried to hop over our porch. It landed like a spider, but that didn't quite work. So that did it for me. I think I said, well, I think I better stick to drawing them rather than being them, for sure. I appreciate that. This is Silo, fellow Ohio man. Let me know where you're from Ohio. I am from Sandusky, Cedar Point town. So if you know where Cedar Point is, that's where I'm from. So all my Sandtown fans that are checking this out, hey, we represent for sure. No, I didn't believe enough. Well,
Besides, you can't come on here. You can't just call this man out. I won't stand for it.
Hey, I definitely didn't believe enough afterwards, I'll tell you that.
100% true. It had to be that way.
After I didn't make it, that definitely took care of my belief, for sure. All right, Cleveland.
Your trials, you got out of there with clean pants at least. When I tried to prove I was a Super Saiyan, it was a bad day. Me and my brother were just sitting there. I was trying to charge up. I was just screaming and trying to clench like every muscle in my body. And I destroyed those pants. They're never coming back.
You were doing the Hulk thing. You just came up.
Oh, 100%. Without question, without question, it was
Oh
me and my
man.
older brother Rafe. We're just sitting there screaming at each other. Stairs like, "Is your hair golden yet?" No, keep trying. I'm not believing.
Believe, and it will happen.
My mom
Oh
got
man,
home. She was so furious. She was like, "Why did you guys do this?
we are
What
definitely
was the
going
point?"
off the rails here.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. We were doing
No,
something. No,
we're
no.
no, we are having some fun. So were you like you said, you talk about your brothers a lot. Were they artistically inclined as well, or were they just crazy brothers like mine that just got you to do anything?
I didn't know they were artistically inclined until I was an artist. Like until I became a professional artist, I didn't know like my brothers drew and they did stuff like that, or that like my dad drew and did stuff like that until right around the time I was graduating art college.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh snap, Gabe's really doing this. Let me tell him about me. Let me talk to him real quick, put him on some game."
So you didn't
And it
know
was
your dad. You didn't know your dad drew at all, then, right? That's interesting that he would not want you to be an artist and he drew.
I feel like it makes sense. In retrospect, when he first told me that, I was like, that makes sense. That tracks.
So
You were a bit too passionate about that. Out of all the things that I told him I wanted to be Iron Man, this is the same guy who I talked to. He was like, "Yeah, of course you could be a Superman, a Super Saiyan if you put your mind to it and you try hard enough." He was the reason those pants were destroyed.
but
But when
hey,
I told him I wanted to be a comic book artist, he was just like, "No, let's not. Let's not do that." It made sense. It makes sense in retrospect. It makes sense.
but yeah, you can be Super Saiyan.
It was great. It was great. And it was a mix of him, but then I think my brother Junior helped me with like the business side of it. He helped me think more business about when I was first deciding to go to art school. It's like, well, art school is going to cost you this much. Do you think you can flip it? I was like, I believe in myself. He's like, okay, if you say you can do it, it's fine. And then my
Yeah.
brother Albert gave me like access to my first Adobe products and all of this. Like he gave me Photoshop, and from Photoshop I started experimenting from there, which led to me getting like Clip Studio and then Storyboard Pro. Shout out Toon Boom.
Toon Boom.
Uh, and my brother Rafe was he was always in my corner, definitely from when I was drawing in high school to even now. Like he's my roommate. But yeah, like brothers, dads, moms, cousins, even one of my cousins who went to art school before me, Alex. He's cool. He's cool,
So
but
I've
all of
had a
them were
lot of
extremely
people
supportive.
on from. You went to SCAD, right?
Mm,
Savannah
yes,
College
I
of Art.
did.
I've had a lot of people on from SCAD as well. What you're laughing for? So something must be. What was your experience like going there, and what do you feel like you kind of pulled from that time there?
I'm gonna pick my words carefully. Uh, Sky was cool. It was
You
That was
just
the
said
worst
you
way to
said
say
it
it.
all right
You said it
there.
was, it was cool. All right. No, uh, here's the thing. SCAD was an interesting time. It was a fun school I went to. Definitely I was in Sequus. I was part of the Sequus department there. I took a couple classes in animation as well to train up to become a storyboard artist. The professors there, like Ray Goto, John Lowe, Rashad, all of them were incredibly talented artists and very helpful in teaching me how to learn to draw. They gave me like they gave me the recipes in which to learn how to draw, how to dissect the artist you like, how to incorporate that back into your own style. But what I learned there was immediately it was good. They put me on the right path, but it wasn't enough to where when I graduated I could get a job
Yeah, yeah,
in the industry. And it was tough because then I was talking to a director at the time who was during the start of BLM. A lot of people in animation started to reach out to Black and other POC creators, being like, "All right, let's train up these next generation. Let's get more people into the industry." And a few of them sat me down. It was like, "Oh yeah, no, no, no." It was one, dude. It was Chris Wimberly. Great dude, love him to death. Everyone gets a bad idea about it when I tell the story. No, this story like saved my career. He told me to delete my entire portfolio,
Really?
just all of it, all the work I did in college, everything I'd ever done. He's like, delete all of it, start over. This is hurting you. And from there, he gave me a few other books. From those books, I was able to use the lessons that I picked up from Scott about how to learn art properly
Yeah.
to then build myself up to get into a position where I'm now a storyboard artist and storyboard revisionist.
Yeah, your employer. What books did he recommend that you go through?
Oh, let me pull them out real quick. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. Let me go pull them out.
And for everybody, again, just joining us, I appreciate you tuning in. Like I said, we're, as you can tell, if you've already been here, we've been having a good fun and good conversation. So we're just, like I said, having a party. You might as well say, Mr. Silas. All right, I will remain quiet. Yeah, like I said, it was cool. I think that said it all right there, in the story. That's kind of how, if somebody asked me, because I went to the Art Institute, and so if somebody asked me about the Art Institute, I would probably kind of say it the same way. It was cool, yeah, but, you know, I think there are a little bit better routes to kind of go through now. Um, we're having, like I said, a fun conversation with my man Gabe. What books did he kind of recommend that you pick up, trash your portfolio? Which I think is really great. Anatomy, yeah, yeah, um,
Anatomy of the artist.
yeah,
Anatomy is so important.
yeah,
Even
yeah,
if you're doing a cartoony style, understanding how the body moves before
yeah,
you cartoon it will always be a plus.
yeah,
Save the cat. If you're going to be a storyboard artist, you need to know how to write a story to
yeah.
help tell a
I heard
visual.
about that book. I heard that was a really good book for learning story structure and everything. Yeah,
It's a great place to start. It doesn't. It's not the end all be all. It's not the
yeah,
end all be all. And even in college, they brought in the worksheet from this, but the book adds a lot of context that helps with the Snyder worksheet for telling a story. And it's a great resource. By no means is it like the end all be
yeah,
all way to tell a story, but it
yeah.
is an amazing place to start if you haven't like fully conceptualized the story all the way through. And this one, the 5 C's of
Cinematographer.
cinematography.
Okay, cool. And we're gonna, like I
This
said, I'm gonna get all of these references and put them in the show notes. So definitely make sure at the end, hop on over to the YouTube channel, check out the show notes because these references will be in there that you can check them out. Because I definitely feel like they're good references. Like I said, our guests drop a lot of knowledge, so you definitely want to make sure. Miss Aaliyah. Wow, this is really large. Let me size this down a little, move it over, stretch it out. I also used to go to SCAD. Now I attend RMA, CAD. I'm not sure which. Uh, you have to let me know what school that. I'm not sure of the acronyms there, but I can also see the same problems to get a job in the industry, especially for 2D animation and storyboarding. And on that, do you feel like now, because there are so many specialized online schools like Nomen and Animation Mentor and just other schools that are really a little more targeted and maybe have a lot more working professionals that are teaching than say maybe an art hard brick and mortar school would, is Rocky Mountain Rocky Mountain College of Art. I should have remembered because I did get a scholarship from that school, Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design. Great school. Uh, do you think, like I said, there now that we do have, like I said, a lot more online classes with these type of schools, it's a little bit better, and that's a little bit different route that creators can go through as opposed to going to say like a brick and mortar, and I know it depends on the person. Some people need that kind of in person kind of training. But what do you think of the schools that are popping up now that are a little more targeted, like, and much more, I think, laser focused with getting people prepared to go into the straight into the industry?
I kind of love them. It's great. If they had more resources like this before I wanted to go to art school, I probably would have gone with these instead, mainly because it's stricter in a way. Like when you're sitting in these classes, I've gotten a great opportunity to be able to either moonlight one, like when Chris Wimberly was teaching this class, he let me moonlight one in uh, when I was beginning to like
Yeah,
rebuild myself as an artist. And I took a few with Project City with Rad Seacrest. I can never say that's the name right. It's either Project City or Project TV, but I think it's Project City TV. Somebody will correct me in the chat. But those resources are incredible, but they're only really incredible if you are like a self starter. If you're a
yeah,
self starter, you know how to properly motivate yourself. These are amazing
yeah,
resources that are usually extremely affordable
yeah,
in retrospect to college. Like you could graduate from a really well known art school. You could easily be, if you don't have scholarships, if you don't have any types of grants or anything like that, you could easily be in the triple digits
yeah,
or the high two digits, or not triple digits, more like six figures, be in the six to
yeah,
high five figures in student debt. So it's if you're a self starter and you want to just like get in the industry and you want a really clear, concise way to do it, talking to the people who are working in it are always the best option. Not only are you learning and you're
yeah,
getting the experience you need, you're learning about the tools that they're currently using. They may even let some slip in the class, be like, all right, but this is the
yeah,
program we might be using in like 3 years from now.
yeah,
And if you're an exceptional talent, making that connection in that online class
yeah,
could help you find a job. Like that person may see your work and be like, yeah,
yeah,
no, I like Craig. Craig's good people.
yeah,
I hired Craig, trained him myself.
yeah.
That's honestly kind of the situation of how I became an artist. I was working with one of the directors on our show and then the EP on our show, Sean Negoshian and Will Rizik, and they're helping me build up my boards. And then eventually they're just like, oh, yeah, no, Gabe's ready. Put him on revisions. I was taken out of my PA position and put in a revisionist. And they did it in the worst way possible. They didn't tell me. Everyone knew before I did. And the way they decided to tell me is like, hey, we're going to put you in a call with your boss, his boss, and HR. We need to have a conversation with you. They
Really?
found my group chat. I'm getting fired. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Right.
I walked to that meeting. I was like, I'm going to get fired. I'm at least going to make it funny. It's going to be good.
You're gonna
Then
remember me on the way out the door.
every time. But no, it was great. It was they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna offer you this position. I'm like, oh sweet. It's like, how much am I making? It's like, this much. Yeah, all right. It was great. But
We can
Sean
do
was
that.
really great in helping me negotiate my price. He was like, stop smiling. They'll pay you less. Let's go.
Oh man. Yeah, I love it. Oh man. The Wookiee noise. Are you a self starter, Gabe? Yeah. Some people aren't. Like I said.
What's up, Cody? I mean,
Like I said.
okay.
No, yeah, obviously this is another supporter of yours. I appreciate you, the Wookiee noise, tuning in. We're just, yeah, this is totally going.
I would let me answer that question real quick. It's mildly important. Uh, I would say to a degree, yes, I am a self starter. I will try my best to work at something, but there comes a point where I have a degree of self doubt where I need someone who's like more experienced to let me know that I'm on the right path.
Yeah, yeah,
And once I have that, it's really easy to just
yeah. Well,
get in
don't you
the
think
house,
every
sit at the desk,
creative
and
kind of
draw.
goes through that a little, imposter syndrome, self doubt type of thing, especially working in like some of these bigger studios when you initially get in, thinking and on these projects. Man, do I really have the chops? I mean, you do because they hired you, but Isn't that kind of something that goes along with it?
At times, and you kind of it's rough because now when you're working on a personal project that's just for you, you may
Yeah,
not have the work like your work may not be up to snuff. But at the end of the day, this is just a
yeah,
fun thing that you get to work on. When you're getting paid for it, you cannot help. Like I could not help but look at like other revisionists and just be like, okay, is it am I as clear? Am I working as fast? Am I as knowledgeable on this topic? What do I need to study? And I think that's the best part about working in this industry, at least from the experience I've had so far. The creators I've worked with have been incredibly supportive
yeah,
and helpful.
yeah,
To where if I had a question, they would sit down, they would talk to me for like 2 hours, be like, "Well, this is how you do a lens flare." Big up, thanks Dan for Gion, big dude. Help me figure out lens flare in the middle of like a hectic week. He's like, yeah, okay, I'll take 2 hours and I'll help you figure this out. Or they'll like run me through Blender, figure out how to import scenes or how to animate a shot. It would be really quick stuff, or even just like how to organize working on a set of boards. Like do the quickest scenes that you can, and then come back to the hard ones at the end, so that you
yeah,
have the majority of it done and something to show. It's like, oh, that's smart.
yeah,
That's smart.
yeah. Now I think that's the I think any really good artist and really great, well, I'll say great artists, they don't mind sharing and really imparting their knowledge and wisdom and helping somebody that's truly wanting to learn and get better. I think that's the great thing about this community. Great, content creators, they don't mind sharing what they know. And really, it is a small community, and everybody kind of tends to know everybody. And that's, like you said, how you kind of move around from project to project or get jobs is you work with somebody, you made friends with somebody, went to school with somebody, and you were just, a nice person that did good work. So they're going to refer you and say, oh, I went to school with Gabe, or I worked with Gabe at this last studio on this last project, and just recommends you to go on to this to next thing. It really is a small community. Do you feel like um, you're traveling as when you were younger really helped your work and brought a different perspective to your work?
It helped not my work, but the stories I want to tell and how I problem solve. Yes, when you're a board artist, part of it is the draftsmanship and the storytelling, but a lot of it is problem solving. You're taking resources given to you from concept artists, the writing team, and eventually you have to present it to a director, and you have to capture their visions of like executives and things like that. It is like 50 different voices in your head trying to figure out one image, and that image has to be clear so that when you give it to someone else they can just animate it and not have to consult you. So I think the part of my childhood that helped with that was when you grow up around like a lot of group of people. I will always remember this. I asked one time, I asked my brother Ray, how do you know when it's time to ask a girl out? And I asked him, he's like, bro, why are you asking me? I'm single. Like, all right, fair enough, that hurt, but all right.
But
So I
when
went and I asked like everyone else I knew, and I got like 50 different answers. But eventually, you kind of just you sit back, and it's this also goes back into how you learn art from other people, because people will give you a million different ways to board. There's a million different ways to tell a story, but you have to take what works for you, but is still clear and concise. So I think that's where it helped me, where I'm able to take and critique, learn very quickly, and just be like, this is a thing that works for you. I know myself well enough to know like this isn't going to work for me, and this is like, oh, this is perfect for me. Thank you for showing it. All of that stuff, uh, definitely from my childhood, learning how different ways to learn and having multiple wells of knowledge to kind of pull from helps me kind of organize my thoughts a bit.
gotcha, Mr. Antoine. Yeah, this is much more. This show here is, and we're having some fun here,
Oh, sorry.
Antoine. We're having some fun here, Antoine. And Mr. Kenny
I'm sorry
D.
about those first 10 minutes. We just didn't do anything. I'm sorry about that.
Hey, like I said, the show is supposed to be enjoyable yet educational, informational, which it is. Like I said, Gabe's dropping some serious knowledge. What specifically for you was it that made you say, I want to do storyboarding as opposed to animating or doing something else? What was it about storyboarding that called you?
There was one day I sat down and I really I tried to break it down the best I could to the difference between storyboarding and animation and why there needs to be both of these jobs. I was like, okay, well, one focuses heavily on bringing something to life, and the other one focuses heavily on giving that life context. And I think I liked giving life context more than bringing it to life. Like when you're an animator, you're bringing something to life in something that either mimics life so beautifully that it looks fake, or you're bringing something to life that's so gritty that everyone can resonate with. And that's why I think people love animation. It's something we create just from our minds and our hands that mimics us in a way that almost makes us feel and look more beautiful. But the story aspect gives it context and it almost gives it a bit more meaning. So you can have something that's incredibly beautifully animated. You can appreciate the art form from it, but the way it becomes timeless is when you mix this with a story that also resonates with people. And I like that aspect more of creating the story. That's just always been my thing back when I was like a kid playing with action figures, and I would make like my own rom com out of my Power Rangers toys. And yes, before you ask, the Blue Ranger was always the one in the love triangle starting mess. That's his job. That's what he's supposed to do.
Oh man, Mr. Kenny D, Antoine Cunningham. Oh, of course, absolutely. I concur with you on this. I guess he means uh, how silly we are. We're having a good time. Like I said, we're all having a good time. Make sure you jump into the comments and join us because we're having fun here for sure. And Kenny D also says, never apologize for who you are. And you
Kenny is
being
a G,
you. He is. He's deep, man. He's scrumptious, just deep. You know, that's Kenny, man. I love him. I appreciate you, Kenny.
savor the flavor
Savor
of
the
the
flavor.
awesomeness in that, bro. I gotta steal that. That was good.
I
I'm
tell
sitting
you,
here
man.
looking at Kenny D's, be like, man, my game, I don't talk well. This dude's out here. I'm like, I know Kenny was a king back in the day. He was walking out the block, be like, "What's good, sister?" Kenny had it going. Look, all right,
Oh
I
man.
respect it. I respect it, Kenny. I'm gonna get like you one day. I respect it.
Oh man. For you, what is it about this time now that excites you being a content creator? From what you've seen.
So there's like a real answer, and then there's a safe answer to
I want a
this.
real. I want the everybody join me. We want the real. We don't want the safe answer. We want the real answer here on the Color of Motion.
The real studios are in a very interesting position. And I think the bigger the studio is, I feel like the more dangerous it is, the way society is moving forward, and especially with the content they create. And I'm seeing like a lot of small studios pop up. It's there's a term group of artists I have online. We affectionately call it the Wild West of animation
Mm-hmm.
currently, where it's starting to get it's a little less safe. It's a little more chaotic. But in this time where it's a bit more chaotic, it's a lot easier for small studios to make a name for themselves,
Yeah.
especially with streaming platforms on top of streaming platforms cropping up that need good original content. And I mean, it's it's good from a certain standpoint, but then it's the lasting power that I think is scary but cool, because you will see something like if I say Amazon Prime animation, most people will go to Incredible. That's the series they're going to think of, or they're going to think of. That's about as much as I can think of. And then, but you go to Disney, you have their entire animated catalog of movies,
Yeah.
and then some of their more recent shows. But their more recent stuff won't be is rarely as strong as their new stuff when it comes to TV. But their movies, they're probably the strongest they've ever been. The same as with Pixar. But it's that aspect of the TV where a small studio can come in and like rise up the ranks,
Yeah.
and I love seeing that stuff happen. I love
Well, I
watching.
mean, do you think that's like I said because there are so many more platforms out there, and the smaller studios are willing to take, and independent creators are willing to take these risks on stories that resonate more with, I guess, themselves and everyday people, what they're going through, and people really want it. I mean, we've all been kind of crying out for new content from these bigger studios like Disney, like Sony, like some of the other ones. But you got studios, and I had this conversation with a past guest of mine, Jay Francis from Disney, and like I said, I love Disney, but I always liken Disney to like the Titanic. They're a really big studio that's been around for a long time. So for them to make a change in the type of work and the style of work that they do, it's going to take a long time to make that turn. Whereas a company like Netflix or a company like Amazon Prime or these smaller studios that are cropping up, they could immediately come in and make the content that they want, not worried about whether or not it's going to sell around the world or whatever. It's just a great story that they want to tell.
That's exactly what it is, and it's even we have examples of it being successful. Like we have Hell of a Boss, that has been Hotel. We have the animated launch. I mean, not the animated pilot of Long Gone Ghost. There's a bunch of animators on YouTube and various other platforms just finding ways to crowdfund, get their work out there. Even with Project City and Rad Secrets, they're always developing their own projects, making their own films. It's almost like if creatives get to a point where they no longer need big studios to reach out to audiences, which we're really close to that. The pandemic almost shut down movie theaters as a whole, but
Yeah,
you can make an animated TV show, you can make an animated movie, everybody can work from home.
yeah,
That saves you an incredible amount of money if you can still garner the same revenue as you would from a regular TV series.
yeah.
And it's a lot. It's so fascinating to look at the business side of it, but at the same time, when I think about it and you put this information out there, it's not as if like executives don't see this and they don't understand the way
Yeah.
the wind is turning. And it's not that they don't have the resources in which to turn it back in their favor, but it's I think it's how they turn it in their favor, which we'll see in the next I would say the next 5 to 8 years, that really determines if we're going to move to a situations that's more small studios taking on contracts from big studios who will like own an IP,
Yeah.
but they'll hire out small studios to make it, and then we'll kind of see how they negotiate with that. It's been exciting, especially seeing how
Yeah.
unions have been negotiating with studios for fair wage. Because I worked as a PA. It's great. It's awesome. It's a great way to be in the industry. I don't know how the people who are PAs lived in California. I
Mm.
don't get. I don't get it. I know some of them had like, well, I had like 4 roommates. I had a couple roommates, or like, oh, my parents helped me out. I ain't got that. Make great amount of money for in Texas. I won't even lie. I was shopping bougie on that PA salary. I was going to like Sprouts and Central Market, like, you know what? I want organic salmon this week. I deserve it. I've earned it.
Hey, which is why I say I love Texas. Like I said, it's so much better than East Coast, West Coast. You get more bang for your buck for sure. And to your point with what you were saying, I think um, it is something that bigger studios are starting to um, you know gravitate to, especially like companies like Disney. They're going over to Africa and partnering with a lot of animation studios over there to get original content. So I think they see the value of partnering with a lot of these studios that are creating these just different kinds of animations and stories that are out there now. Of course, bottom line for them is dollars, but I think it goes into, like I said, just the fact that as creators, I think we're starting to realize the control, especially now that we can go directly to our audience through a lot of these social platforms, YouTube, Instagram, and really connect, um, and build our audience where we don't necessarily have to straight away go to Disney or something like that. If creators, we're starting to realize the power that we hold within our hands as far as dealing with our audience directly and getting our content out there.
Exactly. Exactly. But
And Mr. Antoine, comment in as well, because like I said, I know you're working on your own animation as well as a creator, and all the other creators out there. What are your thoughts as far as this time now that we are in with the tools that we have, and have access to? How you feel about it, because like you had mentioned Blender, there's a lot of tools out there now that can get into the hands of these creators, where they can get their ideas out, and feel like I control my own IP, I control my own story, and I can tell my own story.
it's kind of the best. It's kind of the best, especially with Blender is a good one because Blender is fully free.
I love
And I'll be
yeah.
honest, you got to learn. If you're going to be a storyboard artist, you got to learn Blender. You have to. There's no escaping it. It's so easy to just rotate a 3D section, and then you can either export that video. I'm gonna put everybody on some game. You can export the video that you can animate of the camera move you want. Put that into Storyboard Pro, draw over it, or you could get used to the grease pencil tool
Yeah.
in Blender. I'm not on the grease pencil tool yet. I'm spoiled by Storyboard Pro and
Yeah.
all of their
Well,
drawing options.
storyboard, like I said, storyboard and Toon Boom, of course, are much more targeted and focused tool. So I wouldn't I'm not surprised that they're a lot more better at it. But like you were saying, to, Blender is an amazing piece of software to be free. And I think, and
It's
that's
kind of ridiculous.
it
I think they're
really
gonna pull a
is.
SketchUp on us. Like SketchUp used to be free, and SketchUp was like, "Oh yeah, everybody's got to learn SketchUp." And SketchUp switched up one day. It's like it's gonna be 18 a month.
Oh man.
Next year it'll be 100. Don't play with
Oh
me.
man. But you gotta love, I think you gotta love, and that's what puts, I think, in a sense, is good for the industry, because it puts the pressure on studio or companies like Adobe, and I love Adobe products. Don't get me wrong, and some of the other, like, I haven't touched Maya, but I used to use Lightwave. I started out in Lightwave and then went to Modo, but they're paid and they're all going, the way of the subscriptions model, of course. But I think that puts pressure on companies like that, because they're constantly, and that's the good thing about Blender. They're constantly updating, and the fact that it's free and open source, you got all these creators creating tools that are, making their life easier and putting it into the integrating into the software, that makes it better, because that now that they see that, you got these great tools out there like Blender that artists can get their hands on and create amazing, you know, full movies if they want, if they really want to sit and take the time to do it, create it. Really put the pressure on these kind of companies that maybe we can do a little bit different, a little bit better way. Um, and it's the same way with, I don't know if you've used Krita. Krita is another amazing free software. It's kind of like Illustrator. It's a mix of like it's really mainly illustration, and natural kind of illustration. But you should check out Krita, because it really is an amazing free software that they're
How do you
constantly
spell crit?
updating. Yeah, Krita, and it's, if you look at the
I have
work,
no idea.
it's got an animation. You can animate in it as well, so it's got a little animation functionality to it. But it is kind of like a natural illustration drawing software, but it's free. and it's an amazing software. Um, and you got software like DaVinci Resolve if you're into editing and love compositing and editing. They, even though they got a paid version, the free version is just as good. They got a free version. So you got a lot of these companies out there that are starting to realize, hey, if I can create a good enough free version, get it into the hands of the creators, and they eventually make money from it, they're going to buy whatever higher tier version that you may want to offer, for sure. Let me throw in. We're gonna throw in some comments here, Miss Victoria. Can you talk about what? Well, I don't think they can do that. Most people, most designers can't really talk about because of NDA, and I don't. And I know that, so I don't usually.
I could talk about my first one. I can't talk about my most recent one. I can talk about my first one.
The first one. What was your experience like on your first project, and getting through that and going through it?
It was wild. It was so wild. It was I worked at DreamWorks.
Oh,
Love
okay.
DreamWorks on Studio. I was on Kung Fu Panda Dragon Knights. Go watch it on Netflix. Great show.
Kung
Awesome.
Fu
Oh yeah,
Panda.
get with the Kung Fu. We even
Kung
got
Fu
some
Panda.
Max this time if you like the sword play.
Kung Fu.
But I started there as an intern, and after I interned, I was off for about a month. And I was like, okay, they're gonna bring me back in the summer to do the internship again. It's like they brought me on full time. They did the same thing they did when I was a revisionist too, which infuriates me. Where they just like they put me in my room with a boss. And there's no context for the meeting. They're just like, hey, we just need to talk to you. It's like that's just why. Why be so ominous?
Let's
But they
see.
brought me.
Let's see
They
how
brought
he reacts.
okay, look, you can't just sit there all day. You're just typing away. You're making like a design packet. You're just like, all right, I'm just gonna do my
Gabe,
Photoshop
we
here.
need to see you in HR.
That's me, yo. I'm out. It was blessed. It was a blessed time being here.
Oh
Make sure
man.
to keep me appraised of all the tea that happens on the show after I leave. Appreciate that. No, but it was
But was it a fun experience for you? I mean,
it was
learning.
extremely fun. It's extremely fun. There was so much to learn. I learned what true crunch was, which was fascinating. I was talking to an animatic editor at the time, Greg Lewis, and he was like, "You'll know when we're in crunch," because I thought it was kind of tough when I got hired on full time. I was like, "Oh, this is a lot of stuff going on. This is nothing. We're still in the good time." You'll know when it's crunch once you've gained 10 pounds and you don't remember what the sun looks like. And lo and behold, we got there. And
Wow.
I'll never forget when I rolled off the show. I was like, "Oh, the sun feels good. This is weird." So what being born feels like? I
Oh
understand.
man.
I get it.
I can see the light.
But it was great. I made some great friends. I got to go out there for the rap party. Got to fly to LA, hang out with them. It was awesome. Thank you, Carolyn, for letting me stay at your place. Uh,
Well, and
bagels,
to that
butter, and
point,
sriracha.
do you feel like because studios are doing so many projects and things like that, it really is. I mean, of course, we see kind of the fun side of it. How creators in the studio, how they're riding their little scooter around the studio, that type of thing. But the pressure of really doing these projects. I mean, is there a real like hard pressure to really get these projects out and you know putting them on the creators?
Yeah, yeah. It's I didn't realize it until I saw a director who is they're salaried. They don't make overtime, but he stayed up one night just to finish this scene, and he was up for like 2 days straight.
Wow.
And I'd ask him, I was like, "Why are you putting yourself through this?" And he's like, "At the end of the day, it's my name," and that spoke volumes. And it brought me back to there's this YouTube channel called Every Frame's a Painting. If you want to get into movies, please just go watch all the videos. There's only a handful. Everyone is amazing. But in their talking about comedic action, the Jackie Chan episode, Jackie
Hmm.
Chan put it the best. You can't go to every person's house and every theater and explain, I had a bad day or the pressure got to me and I couldn't perform when they see the work. The work is will always outlive you. It always will.
Yeah.
So if you that's why every project you have to bring like 100%. You have to push yourself to the best of your ability. And if it sucks, you can look back on it and be like, I've grown. I think the I had to fit Gundam into this somewhere. The creator Tomino, he hates every series he's ever worked on, every single one. And when fans will go up and talk to him about it, he's like, "Talk to me about something cool. Don't talk to me about my stuff." I was like, "All right, fair enough. I respect it, and I kind of understand where he's coming from." He looks back at his work, he's like, "I'm better now.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't want to see that." But you have to appreciate that for what it was. You put your all, you leave it all out on the court every time. So I never want to be in a position where I look at some work I've done and be like, yeah, I was just tired. I couldn't put any more all
Yeah.
nighters in, and I guess it is what it is. It's like, no, 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 no,
Just yeah,
no,
it kind of
no. I did it
happens.
to the best of my ability.
Yeah. No, that's some good advice. So good. You know, I got to hey, drop a bomb on Leave it out on the court, baby. Leave it out on the court. I always like to
Like that.
we drop knowledge here. We always drop knowledge. I have to let it be known that a bomb was dropped. Leave it out on the court, and I think a lot of. But do you? Is that what? I mean, since you've been in kind of in the industry for a little bit, do you see that as something newcomers kind of lack or have that they put their all into it, or they kind of just I won't want to say half-ass, but just kind of kind of skip through and just want to do it. And like you said, I'm tired. Let me just get it shot done and be done with it.
Surprisingly, no. It's something I see a lot with people who've been in for like a long period of time. Like some of the old heads at the studio be like, I did what I did and I'm done. I'm going to retire and I don't care really. It's like, all right, fair enough, fair enough. Most of the new people I see come in, it's to their detriment how much they put out there.
Yeah.
And when I say all this, it's like, don't kill yourself. Like, please, like there's hard work and then there's an unhealthy obsession. And everyone's balance is different. Everyone's balance is different. And I've been to the point where it's at an unhealthy obsession. I worked myself into a hospital. It was not a great time.
No,
I
I can
know when
imagine.
to stop.
So how do you balance it now? What are the things that you do now that gives you a little more balance than before when you were driving yourself into the hospital?
I had I gotta know how to. I gotta know that it to do your best, you have to feel your best, and to feel your best, you have to work on yourself. So I take time out of the day to focus, meditate, get my mental right. I try my best to get out there, work. I go for a walk if I have to, get some type of movement in my body. I stretch every day. Being an artist, you're in a chair that destroys your hips. Your hips will be so tight, and you don't want to be 70 years old with some tight hips, not able to walk no more. Got to
Going
be in that retirement home, letting people
in,
know what it is.
being pushed around in a wheelchair. You know,
I'm gonna be in that retirement home moonwalking. Forget that. Mm-mm.
this
Moonwalking into my deathbed.
Mr. Antoine, COVID-19 changed the game as far as the industry goes. Unfortunately, for good or bad, that virus really changed things. Yeah, I think. Um, yeah, it definitely changed how studios saw that they can be still productive in a lot of different ways. Like I said, it really gave people, I think, kind of the time to reevaluate the things that are important to them and what's valuable to them. It brought enlightenment to companies. Hey, we can give people the opportunity to work remotely and still be productive in the output that we have and still have let them have a balanced life, so to speak. What do you? I mean, what do you think, Gabe?
Oh yeah, 100% change things. Honestly, I think for the industry as a whole, it's a net positive for I would say work life balance because you're Think about it, if you're drawing all day, say you work best at night, but you have to force yourself to be in the office 9 to 5 to get the work done.
Yeah.
Now you can just kind of be like, okay, I'll work this time. I'll make sure I hit my deadline. I don't have to be in the office. If I need to take a break, I can go take a break. If there's something I need to take care of at the house, I can take care of it for like 10 minutes. And also the pandemic kind of put animation in the spotlight because you couldn't have people on shoots recording that's too high of a chance of getting infected, but you can draw and you could submit and you could animate remotely, and everyone just needed to have the equipment. And some studios, like even DreamWorks, would send artists equipment, like Cintiqs, computers, and stuff like that. But
Right.
eventually, artists would just upgrade their own stuff.
Right.
And from a financial standpoint, when you're looking at it, the amount of time it takes, I think my friend Cody Wookie, he put me onto this when he was working at a hospital. He said the amount of time it takes to upgrade technology in a hospital is exceptionally difficult. And you'd be surprised how old some of the tech is.
Mm.
That can only be more extreme to industries that don't make as much as a healthcare,
Yeah.
like a hospital could make. Upgrading takes time and you have to do it across the board. If you're at home and you're working with your setup, I just go buy the new graphics card. I can
Yeah.
get a tower. I can upgrade my setup as much as I need to.
Yeah.
That being said, you miss the social aspect. And it's part of the reason why, yes, I'm not like the biggest fan of going to art school, but that's the best scenario you could be in, to work with creatives,
Yeah.
have that creative environment, get that social feel of what it's like to just bounce ideas off of someone in a room.
Yeah.
And you miss that when you're not in the office, and it makes some problems that should just be like a 5 minute conversation, it draws it out for what could be 3 days.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest detriment, but
Yeah.
it's a tough balance.
Yeah. Mr. Raul, positive vibrations, my Jamaican brother, Irie. I appreciate you showing up for sure. Um, you kind of talked about this a little bit earlier about when BLM man started kicking off. You started getting a lot more kind of outreach from studios and companies. How do you see the space kind of now? Do you feel like okay, it's gotten better or worse, or you know what are your thoughts? Because I have my own particular thoughts, but what was your initial thought when studios initially when the whole thing kicked off, George Floyd's murder and Black Lives Matter, and all these studios were posting black squares and we're behind diversity and all of that. What was your initial thought? Because I had mine, and I've clearly always professed mine. What were your initial thoughts, and from your perspective, has it gotten a little bit better? Of course, they still have a long way to go, studios, but have you seen kind of a progression in this kind of space of diversity and really bringing on um, creatives and not just creatives? Because you're, like I said, you've been in the studios. I tend to focus on the higher level executives and the people in the kind of the higher position, even though you're not in the executive kind of position. But that's my focus. I see a lot of creators getting on at studios, and they're bringing on diverse studios. But in the executive space, that's where my kind of focus kind of tends to go towards. But as an industry as a whole, how have you seen from that initial point of George Floyd and Black Lives Matter and just the need for companies being more diverse?
I really like the way you phrased that question, where you focused on the executives. That's the thing most people don't focus on when they think about this issue, is the leadership as well as the entry level positions. But I would say at an entry level standpoint, it is exceptional. It's exceptional. The change has been the change was loud and it was heard well, and it's been continued. It's been continued change. It wasn't just a show. Like the Black Squares thing, I was like, that's the
Yeah, I took it.
it's the
I was
wackest
kind.
thing I've ever seen.
I was kind of like I said. For me, like I said, I was kind of on the edge about it because on one hand, for me, it felt like a PR kind of thing that a lot of studios were doing. And then on the other hand, like I said, I do see a lot of creators on the entry level getting into studios. So in that respect, it's good. But like I said, I kind of focus on the executive level and the higher positions. You know, the people sitting on at the table on the boardroom making these decisions. You know, and that's why I feel like um, uh, a lot of change is going to come from the independent studios that are creating these, you know, independent black studios, independent Latino studios, independent, you know, Asian studios, independent, diverse creator studios that are making their own stories and own contents that are kind of forcing these bigger studios to take a look at what they're putting out and deciding whether or not they want to partner with them or what. That's where I feel like the big change is going to come. These independent creators and studios starting to come up and feel and see that hey, we don't necessarily have to go to you to get our product out there or our IP out there to our audience.
Exactly. Exactly. I've actually okay. I got two examples for this. I've got two examples for this. So while I was at DreamWorks, I can only speak about these two studios because they're the only ones I've worked at. But while I was at DreamWorks, we had ERG programs dedicated to working on inclusion and safety for all LGBTQ by POC people of employment in our studio, and each one had their own select group working towards them. But those groups weren't separated, and where they were all vying for like resources that the studio would get, all of the ERGs worked together, which I think that is the most important thing. It's not about like, no, we need more black people. Oh no, we need more Latino people. It's like no, we in general need more people of representation of these groups, and we will all work together, not against the studio, but to enlighten and inform the studio about how to properly include these backgrounds and cultures appropriately and respectfully. That's
Yeah.
the word. So I was part of Ben and I was a part of Out. Ben handled the that was I always forget what the E means, but that was the group for hiring on black creatives and black people into the industry. Out worked with um, LGBTQ new hires and new employees. Both were incredible, and I worked with Nike and Shabrea, who were just amazing people who headed up then. They would always have different types of events for us to talk if we had problems, fun events just to hang out and get to know other people at the studio. They also had some different events where we would sit down, we would actually talk about it's like, hey, this happened on my show. Is this okay? I don't know who to talk to. And they would be like, okay, this was clearly not okay. We'll go talk to HR. We'll work this out. And they try to work it out in a way that's respectful and discreet because yes, it's great to out someone who's done something unjustly, but sometimes it's not done out of malice. It's just done out of them not knowing. And we're at a stage where getting outed about or getting canceled is something that can destroy careers, it can destroy families, it can destroy lives. The internet has no mercy, so it's really dangerous messing with them. But to handle it in a way that's, I don't want to say discreet, like hiding it under the rug, but in a way that is respectful to both parties so that everyone feels heard. And then there is usually like a studio wide conversation. They even work with ARC. ARC is an organization that helps people who have been like ex-cons and people who have had some trouble in their past find positions in the animation industry, which I thought was like, okay, all right, DreamWorks, I see you. Very nice. And it's not just that it ended after BLM. It's like, okay, we posted our black square, we've done it, we showed, yes, black people love you guys. It was a continued effort that just kept building and building. And honestly, if I find myself working at DreamWorks again, I would love to be more involved with Ben. I got to do a few things where we would even go out and mentor creatives at HBCUs across the country, which was an awesome thing. It was very fun to do. And then the second studio I worked with was Studio Smokescreen. The guy I told you about earlier is like,
Yeah.
hey, delete your portfolio. Chris Wimberly, great storyboard artist, been a great director as well. This is his studio that he's starting up. and I was able to board for a project for him soon after I left DW, and it was a really great thing. And the way he set up his studio, it's like, yes, we are all about getting more Black people into the industry, but we will not exclude other people if they show interest and they want to be an ally and be a part of it. I was like, that's a good mentality. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And then you have like things like Monkey Paw Productions as well with Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
It's the small studios are leading the charge in, I would say, getting people in and having equity. Because I could 100% say when I was boarding at Studio Smokescreen, that was the it was easily the most I've made on any professional project I've done, and that was just a really peaceful experience. There wasn't really a crunch. There was like, yeah, okay, you have to do this thing, but everything was planned out properly. I turned in
Yeah.
my stuff. It was like, good job, dude.
Yeah.
I'll call you if we have another job for us. Like, bet.
Yeah. I
But
love it. I love it. Mr. Antoine, Don, now you're putting my man on the spot with the BLM question. No, I don't mean to put him on the spot. But this, like I said, um, it, it, it's not specifically because we know every studio is doing what they can and they still have a long way to go. And I'm not just talking about, like I said, on the entry level position. I talk a lot about the executive position. What are they doing at the higher level positions as well? Yes, there's a lot of creators getting work at studios. I've had them on the show. They're getting work at a lot of these studios. I'm looking to get more executives on the show, but that's
that's the
always
tough
my
part.
higher level. That's always my high level thought. What are they? How much are they doing? And I'm at the higher level positions. The people that are sitting at the table, the people that are owning the studios are there. That's why I said it's going to be incumbent on them not to do just internal work, but to also partner with studios that are minority owned, that are built by people of color, and run by people of color, to work with them as well. So it's going to take a I say it's not just a bottom up solution; it's a top down solution as well as a outside in solution. It's a solution it's a problem that's going to take a solution from all different angles. It's not just hiring, black animators and Latino animators. It's about hiring. It's about partnering with Latino companies. It's about partnering with black-owned companies, like Disney is doing with Kagai over in Africa. They're partnering with these studios that are creating content, and not just, like I said, bringing in creatives and hiring, animators. They're also bringing in some executives. And like I said, it's not outing any studio. It's not hammering any studio. And I hope that any studio exec or anybody that sees, like I said, doesn't get that because
See, but that's
see,
the tough part about it. Was when you want this top down, the executives are the one you're talking about a seat that holds about maybe 20 to 12 people, and
yeah,
them 20 to 12 people have been doing this for a while, and
I
they're like,
get it.
okay, we can help them out, but you're telling me I got to get rid of one of my own to put them on.
No,
So that's not
no,
what we're saying, but you have to be able to be open to the idea
yeah,
that when
that
one of those people
somebody,
steps down, someone is qualified to be take that role.
or even if you're looking at somebody to come into that position, that there are people that are qualified, like I said. And trust me, I get it because, like I said, you know, these studios have been around for a while. And like I said, the people that are on the board, the owners and, the shareholders, the top shareholders, they've been in there a while. So I get that. But my thought was, okay, if we're a company that if I'm an owner of a business that, my life represents diverse thought, like you've been around the world, you've been to different places, you've been to different cultures. So you're not, you're if you had a business, your thought wouldn't just to be hire people that look like me. Your thought would be because you've been around people, your circle of influence and circle, your sphere of people that you've been around is diverse enough to know that there are people out there of all different cultures. You just want the best person for the job, and that could be anybody, And that's why I'm saying most executives. I won't say most executives because I don't want to back myself into a corner, but most people, like I said, birds of a feather tend to flock together, and they very rarely go out of their sphere of circle. So an exec, a high level exec that may be white, 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, their close friends, the people they go out with, associate with, their sphere of circle is probably white. Unless they, like I said, have a diverse enough thought or grew up in a diverse enough atmosphere to where they experience different cultures and, hey, they go out and do a lot of different things and they associate with a lot of different people. The reality is birds of a feather tend to flock together. That's just the nature of how we kind of are in some sense. And like I said, you can say the same things about blacks. Most of my friends and people I grew up with, they rarely went outside their neighborhood. And that's why I said a person that really wants to truly have a worldview and have a really kind of broad view will go outside of their neighborhood, experience different people, and associate with different people, and they'll get a different perspective. That's why I say it's really. I think every especially every person of color, black person of color, should go outside the country and go outside, just visit different places. They'll experience and have a different perspective about different things, and may realize that their perspective that they thought isn't the end all be all of what it is, because you're getting a different perspective. And I'll use this as an example. Like I said, I have a friend, and I've just met him, a great guy, from Australia. And we got into the conversation about guns, you know. And his perspective was, I don't get what, the United States obsession is with guns, and I'm not trying to go off on that rail because that's a whole totally different rail. But
I wrote a note down. I wrote a specific note down before this podcast. I was like, Gabe, do not talk about your politics. The world ain't ready.
It's not ready, like I said. But what I got from and and this is why we got to be such good friends, because we had a conversation and I was able to talk to him about my perspective over here in this country. He was able to talk to me about his perspective from that country, and like I said, a perspective outside of what you normally experience. That's my whole point, is getting a perspective outside of the box that you normally live in is what gives you this world perspective. And so that kind of a big roundabout way of what I was saying about executives is, this I went way around the mulberry bush on that one. But
so you left orbit, you went to the moon, and then you were like, you know what? Let me bring it back. I think I went too far. I ain't trying to go to Mars today. Let me bring it right back.
Bring it back. Executives and people I think if they allow themselves to have a personal experience outside of the job of people of different colors, then they would have a little bit more openness of bringing a person in that they know is, capable. Like I say, you're not going to bring somebody in because they're a person of color and they're not capable of doing the job, but know that there are people outside that are people of color, are people of LGBT, different communities that can do the work. And I would only get that if I expose myself of being around people like that, is what I'm saying. Okay,
I
I
think
went
that's
way
the
wrong.
benefit of how we're getting there. We're getting there. But that was the benefit of why I really enjoyed my time at Dreamers with the ERGs, because occasionally an executive who I never met before would come down and he'd be like, "Oh, that person's in the chat today." It's like, "Oh, okay. I'm still fitting to say all this mess. I'm gonna say all of it. I don't care." And it kind of it's the way to opening up that exposure is having, as weird as it is to say, it's like you're bringing the employees of a certain demographic into a group so that the executive can come down, mingle with them in an area that is not just in a way that's building a safety for the employees, but is also safe for the executive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I said this before. I think companies would do very well, and I get why a lot of executives would probably be hesitant to come on a show like mine because they feel like they would be put on the spot about this or that. And it's not that. It's just having an honest conversation. And I think that was the thing that kind of got me when the whole BLM kicked off and studios started doing it, because I said it felt like a PR stunt because they felt like they were trying to get ahead of being labeled this or labeled that or labeled just they're afraid of being labeled as opposed to having just an open conversation about just the difference in what could be done. And it's not about labeling Disney or labeling any company. It's about having an open conversation. And I said, I think companies would do well, even if they didn't come on the shows like mine, having an internal discussion with their just internal kind of panel. Hey, we're bringing all the executives in. We're having people and having a safe space to allow executives to say what's on their mind, to allow creators to say what's on their mind of diversity. I think it would serve them well to have that kind of internal kind of panel discussion within their own company if they didn't want to go outside and have that thing for sure. But please, DreamWorks, Sony, and anybody else from company, because I am reaching out. It's not. It's not that I'm like.
you, did not,
It's.
you did not just say all that. Be like, but on the real though,
But on
hey,
the real though, but it really is. And I think, like I said, I think that's what keeps them. I think that's what keeps them from being on shows like this. They're afraid of being labeled, or they're afraid of having kind of an honest discussion that may. And I think that's why this kind of thing is going to be so hard for this country to overcome, because we're afraid of having these uncomfortable conversations that make people feel uncomfortable because they feel like they're going to be labeled a racist or just this or labeled that, as opposed to, no, we're not labeling you, we're just wanting to have a honest conversation about this topic because it is an important topic. You're going to have your perspective, but you got to see that I got my perspective. And it's just being able to agree that we have different perspectives. We're both coming from it from a different point of view. And like I said, this could go like way off into this thing. And I'm gonna reel it back in here.
wait, no, but to talk on that for a second, it's tough. It's tough to get there. It's tough to get to a point where, because you have to think about this when you're an executive in your position of power like that. Technically, when you speak, you are representing the entirety of your company. And the way talk shows have been, or a way that people who claim to have, I'm not saying that you're not, but people who claim to have like honest communication has been like, we've seen people on like Fox News, they'll try to have our conversation.
oh
Some dude
yeah,
will say something wild, the conversation gets strewed, or we can even talk about like it's on every level. It's on like on the news, it's on TikTok, it's on YouTube, it's on Twitch. Every time when people will come together, there's someone there who ruins the experience to spin it in a way to get views. Because at the end of the day, it's not about furthering the culture, it's not about furthering the movement. For someone, it's always about getting the views, getting the pocket money, getting the drama, advancing their business. And that is to our effect, that's to our detriment. That's to our detriment. If we as a society could get to a point where we see media as a way to distill the truth and as a way to come together, as a way to build unity as a whole, it makes it a lot easier for us to sit down and have conversations like this where we just be like, honestly, here's my perspective, here's what I know about it, and here's where I think we should move. And for us to sit here, go back and forth on ideas and not have one person being like, no, I gotta get my point across to make sure that I look like I'm the smartest person because some dude is gonna pay me dooku amount of money to tell you
Yeah.
if you your car with oil, it will cure your cancer. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, and that's like I said to your point. That is kind of the danger of social media in this time. Like I said, everybody, it's a dual edged sword. Social media is good on one aspect, but we plainly see and we see all the time how it could definitely go off the rails. But I think there are places and groups and shows that really are trying to uh, have that kind of honest conversation without, like I said, you know,
Without an agenda.
yeah, without having kind of an agenda, without labeling anybody, but just asking these kind of questions. Like I said, and it would be on me. Like I said, I'm sure a lot of like I said, questions would be thrown at me that might be uncomfortable for me to answer, but are good for me to face. Like I said, when you have those kind of conversations with somebody that has a different perspective, it makes you think a little differently. And that's how I thought, like I said, while I was having that conversation with my friend over in Australia, he just had a different perspective. I couldn't knock him for it, but he could also understand, like the things that I was talking about. But there we found this common ground that, despite all of that, we still are good friends. There are a lot of stuff we had in common. We laughed. I met his wife. We had a great time, and we're friends now. But we had this kind of conversations to. You're laughing. We had this kind of conversation.
I heard everything I heard was like, that is the most pleasant conversation I think I've heard about. And I immediately, my brain was like, that's too civil for the internet.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
too civil.
It is. You hate to say it. But I'm an optimist. I like to think that there are people out. I think there are more good people than there are bad people. We just tend to. That's just what tends to sell is bad, and that's what just tends to sell that most people put out there is the bad. But like I said, call me silly, but like I said, I'm an optimist. I think there are more good people than there are bad people. I think people are really trying to do the right thing more than there are, bad thing. Do the wrong thing. That's just the way I kind of think. But like I said,
Oh,
I
thank
think
you, man. I think I might be a little bit too cynical. I think I brought the wrong attitude. I like that. Being the optimist. That's the way to do it.
I'm
Being
not
the
that.
optimist.
I'm not this. Like I said, but I'm also a realist as well. Like I said, I realize that there are. Like I said, this is my last point on this, and we're gonna get back into the. This is
Oh,
my
that's right. We're supposed to. I forgot. We had like a
I forgot
basic
what
plan.
we were talking
We had a
about.
basic plan for how this was supposed to go. We haven't followed that plan at all.
And I guess that's why I like the show because this, like I said, at the crux, this is what the show really is about: having these kind of fun conversations. And I would hope any executive that does eventually come on, you see that it's about having a fun conversation, but still having some meat to it, to where you can think about things a little differently. Um, like I said, my last point. Before we take a look at some of Gabriel's work. Is
Oh,
like I
that's
said,
right.
I had to remind myself. It's like, man, you're getting into a little 2 hours there. You hadn't even shown any of his work yet. Okay, I'm gonna not get into my
great.
point, and we're gonna immediately jump and check out some of Gabe's work.
No, say your point. We don't need to see my art. It's
No,
fine. You can just put a link to my Insta on the end. It's all there.
no. my point my point is that I'm an optimist. I think they're like if they're better people than there are bad people. Just like the police. I think there are more good police than there are bad police. I really do. I think police are doing a great job. But I am a realist knowing that there are some out there that aren't. Obviously. That's my point. Okay, so with that,
I could follow up that point, but let's keep it civil. People don't need to know what I be thinking about in my head. Let's keep it pushing.
hey, I'm always open. You know, if you want to say, go ahead. I am down.
No, I gotta wait till I become a bigger name and I can just say random stuff. I still
Say,
need a
what
paycheck.
happened
I'm
to
still hungry.
Gabe?
Gabe got a little bit too wild on this one podcast, and then we couldn't hire him. We couldn't do it.
Oh man. Oh man. Well, Mr. Antoine there, this episode has definitely taken a turn. But like I said, I hope that doesn't deter you from your episode. Like I said, it is about having a good time, but still having a meaningful conversation about things. And with that, we're going to take a look at some of Gabe's work because he does do amazing work for sure. So let's take a quick look at some of Gabe's stuff. Like I said, I loved a lot of these pieces, and you could talk more to this piece here because we were talking about it a little bit before the show.
Oh yeah, this was for a volunteer program we were doing at DreamWorks. An organization called Story Pirates comes to us to talk about some kids who are a little bit disadvantaged in an underprivileged neighborhood. They'd be like, well, they're still interested in getting into animation, telling stories. So they put this program together for industry professionals to come review stories they've written, as well as I was on the art side. So they would give us the story, we would read through it, and we would just draw a picture for them based on their story. This one was about a little girl who goes exploring in the forest with these six oxwattlers. I'll never say that name right. And the witch gave everybody like a chance to eat these houses. And each one was made out of like a different piece of candy. There's one house that was made out of butternut squash. I I don't know why it was butternut squash, but you know what? I was hooked in the story. So everyone just ate their houses of candy. All the Oxwaddles were just like, I can't do it. It's too much candy. But then the little girl was like, I'm just going to cut this up and cook it and eat it. She was there for like 3 days cutting and eating this house like she's a professional speed eater.
Great. I love it. I love it. Like I said, when I saw it, it just resonated with me. Like I said, it's such a great
Oh,
style. I don't know how it is.
it's my boy Tony. This was hey. So I'm gonna make this point quick. Here's a point. If you're gonna be in animation, you're gonna tell stories. It These are all things that mimic life. You can't mimic life properly until you go out and you live life. So like take some time, step away from the computer, go have a party. This was in art school with my roommate Antonio. Tony. We were pulling all nighters, which we usually did. He was an artist who was just as hungry as me, an incredibly talented rigger and 3D artist. And some nights we would just stay up and we would throw like a dance party in between like rest sessions. Our other roommate was not happy. Sorry, Corey. Sorry, not sorry. You know you enjoyed it,
Oh
but
man.
yeah, you
Oh
gotta test it
man.
out. Gotta know if I still got it. If I can still
Oh
throw that
man.
back.
Yeah, too
No,
funny. Oh, I love it. I love it. This was a great piece here too. I love this one. Yep. There
oh,
we go.
thank
Nice piece.
you. Love
Nicely
Sam Jack.
done. Yeah, Sam, we got that look. Get that look. Love that.
This is me if I was sexy.
And that look. Yeah.
This is me if I was an R and
How's
B
it?
singer.
How's it sexy look there, guy? Hey, you can do that
This
as
is
an
that one
artist.
move where you slide out from the group and you point
That's
at that one girl in the crowd. You start like body rolling. That's that fit.
that's the beauty of art. You can create whatever's in your mind. The beauty of art. I love this piece. Beautiful piece for sure.
Oh Yeah, this one was for African art history class back when I
Yeah.
was at SCAD.
Do you think more and more needs to be done with getting into HBCUs and really getting exposing kids that probably normally wouldn't have the ability to be exposed to this industry is going to need to be done?
Of course, it's to everyone's benefit. It's to everyone's benefit. The more people that you bring in is the more creatives who come from a background that hasn't been explored yet, which are more detailed stories that people have, which is more amazing content for us to watch.
Yeah, this one I really love. Oh, those are the colors. It's such a
Oh man,
striking piece. I loved it.
this one was for Juneteenth. I was experimenting with some painting styles. I still haven't found my painting style yet, but I feel
Would you
like this
use
was
what
on the right
software did
path.
you use on this, or did you
Clip Studio Paint.
Clip Studio? Okay,
Mhm.
Clip Studio. Clip Studio. Hey, be a sponsor. Love it.
Clip Studio,
Who
if you want to
does?
sponsor me too, hit me up. I accept all forms of money and fruit snacks.
Yeah, yeah, gotta love it. Uh,
Welch's
who
only.
who isn't a Trekkie fan?
Yeah, this is based on Lower Decks. Their art
Oh,
style is great. Is experimented with a little bit of their stuff.
yeah, nice. I love it. I love it. Let me take that out. Great style. Like I said, do such amazing work. Do you get a chance to do a lot of your own stuff now, or I mean, do you kind of mix that in to try and keep yourself fresh, or is it mostly studio work?
It's mainly studio work. I won't lie. I've gotten a bit comfortable these past few months, so I haven't put a lot into my personal work. Plus, I've been working on a Let me actually. Can I do a quick announcement?
Yeah, yeah.
In my off time, I've been working on a podcast. We had something go down with the name, so I won't name it yet, but it will be releasing sometime next month. But that's mainly what I've been using my free time for. Is It's a podcast just dedicated to making small projects.
Mm,
So we start at the beginning of a project, and we will just go through the pitching, and then the writing, and then the currently we're in the design aspect of it, and then we're going to pass it off to boards. That's as far as I comfortably feel to work on this first project. But the whole idea of it is you don't need like all of this funding and all of this
yeah,
stuff to create cool stuff, and hopefully this inspires a lot of young creatives to just go and rattle up like five friends and be like, hey,
yeah,
we're making a movie and we're gonna draw it.
yeah. And like I said, I think that's one of the beauties of this time. Like I said, you got software like Disney, or like Disney, like Blender, that will allow, hey, these five friends or whatever. Okay, I got an iPhone. Let's make a movie. We can download Blender. You got all this software, these tools to really get your ideas out there. That's like I said, why I love this time. Is there a story behind this one? Like I said, I love the style of this one as well.
It's from the Fahrenheit 451 show that Michael B. Jordan was a part of.
Okay,
I
cool.
just liked the book and I saw the series. Can we actually can we go back two pictures? I know I'm sorry. I'm making all kind of
Is
requests
it
on
this
this
one?
episode. It was the one with the blue guy.
The blue guy?
Yeah, with the little magic hands.
Oh, no, not that one. Hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Okay. Uh, is it not that one?
You like that
Not that one. Yeah, it's gonna take me forever to get through these. I didn't mean it like it sounded, but okay, we're let's
one.
see
Tiger's
here.
fan.
Okay, here. The blue hands. I'm trying to figure out which one.
No,
It's like,
It was the one of the two people. She's like riding him. They're flying over the city. It says like B and R in the bottom corner.
Okay, let's see. Well, I just have to go through all of them.
Oh, it was the best.
Let's see. Damn. Well, you see that one. He's like, man.
Love that guy. Good guy.
I mean, yeah. Okay. Oh,
That's
okay. This
That's
one. Took me like, okay.
On web.
Okay.
I drew this for my friend May. She has an amazing story out there. Brimstone Roses, 18 plus. I'm gonna put that warning out there. Great one. Also, I just wanted to do that to shout out a hardworking alumni from SCAT.
I like the piece. It's like I said, really well done as well. So I'm glad you made me go through it and find it. We didn't hit it sooner.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That was so great.
Okay. As you can see, Gabriel does some amazing work for sure. Again, we kind of went off the rails on a lot of this, but for all of you that stuck with us through this fun time here, we've been having a great time sitting down talking with my friend Gabe.
You're just gonna end it off like that?
No. I gotta hurry up and get that lost. We're having a fun time. I sometimes forget to keep my viewers engaged as well. But we're having a fun sit down with my friend Gabe here, storyboard artist. What would be the best piece of advice that you would give somebody wanting to do what you do? I mean, are there specific traits? What would be the best piece of advice that you could give someone?
Be comfortable being wrong and being uncomfortable. Like, get comfortable being wrong and uncomfortable. It'd be really uncomfortable just not knowing certain things or like where something's going to lead. A lot of things of getting into the industry is it's where skill meets the people you know meets luck, and it is 80% luck, like 10% skill, 10% the people you know. But it's the luck. Having the skill is great, but if no one is hiring for what you're doing, you're kind of out of luck. And that's where it just comes in. I wouldn't be in the position I am without all of the luck in the world, and I'm so blessed that I'm thankful every day for all of the luck I have. But it was the luck of like when I just graduated, I was working at Amazon for about 7 months before I got into the industry, and every day I was like just cold messaging as many people as I could on LinkedIn just to try to get in. And it was someone at DreamWorks, big sis Ashley. Thank you, Ashley, who helped me get my stuff in order. That helped me get in to as an intern. But that was all extreme luck. And that when I got in, I thought she just put in a good word for me and just like, oh yeah, no, I just told them to hire you. No, that's not what happened. You put my resume in front of some people. It's like, yes, this dude's cool. It's like, that's it. It's like, yeah, no, that's all I did. No, you got yourself in. Congrats. It's where luck meets skill and meets the people you know. And you want to know someone. I feels bad because like you don't want to approach connections as like, oh yeah, I need to like hustle this person so they help me get into the industry. Yeah. No, make like a genuine connection. Make these friends. Not only are like most people in the industry, that's like 85% of the people in the industry are the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life.
Yeah.
Some dude was telling me about his chickens that he keeps in his apartment. I'm like, dude, we met 5 minutes ago. Why are you telling me about your chicken? What are their names again? It was beautiful.
And again, like I said, on that note, I always like to that. Like I said, that was a great nugget. Is I think what it boils down to is building relationships, true, honest relationships with people that last. And we had this conversation before, and what I tell everybody that I connect with and bring on the show, it's about building a friendship that goes beyond you being on this show, Gabriel. We're friends that go beyond you being on this show. And really honest about that, and really honest about interested in where your journey goes. And like I said, I'm so looking forward to having you back on the show, because I know your journey is just beginning. You're going off and you're going to do some amazing things. And so I'm honored and proud to call you friend, for sure. Uh, but
Bring it in.
yeah, I'm trying to bring it in.
It's okay. It's good. This is good.
You see the love, bro. You see the love.
This is a good time.
We're really, man.
100%. 100%, Fred.
For anybody that just catches this section, don't think it like that. Like I said, we're really good friends, and like I said, I appreciate that, man. Mr. Antoine, man, this show is so silly. Like I said, this is really one of the oddities of the show. Like I said, me and Gabe is just that personality that where I've had a few where, and that's why I love shows like this, because you get those few guests that you just click with and you just have a fun time talking with, and it's just such a great time, and you laugh but still have a good conversation. And that's why I love doing this show. That's why I love connecting and making friends with the people that I have made. And I'm definitely looking forward to having that with you, Antoine. Again, like I said, an amazing animator. He's going to be on later on in the year, for sure. So you definitely want to tune in for that. Man, like I said, we're going on 2 hours to this show. We just hit the 2 hour mark, people. And like I said, I appreciate, and hey, like I said, we've got a good amount of people still sticking around with us, and I can appreciate all the viewers for sure. But we're gonna roll this one in, and that's the beauty of it, because it gives me an opportunity to have Gabe back on the show, for sure.
Yes, please.
Last question. Gabe. And I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If you could stand in front of your younger self, is there anything that you would tell your younger self?
Put the donuts down. 100%.
Is that a metaphor or is that literal?
No, it's literal.
Oh.
I'm a big dude, fam.
I thought it might have been a metaphor for something profound.
Metaphor? I was like, no, stop. Put the donuts down. Chill. Things are going to work out. It'll be fine.
I was waiting for
Krispy Kreme is not your savior. Put it down.
Oh, man. And on that note, because you will be sitting in front of the computer, so it definitely catches up with you after a while.
Yo, this pandemic has been rough.
Oh, man. This has been an amazing show for sure. Like I said, I am going to wrap this one up, but it definitely leaves it open to have you back on for sure, Gabriel. If you could hang out in the green room for just 1 minute while I close out the show, I would appreciate it. Guys, gals, I appreciate everybody that's kind of stuck around. But like I said, we've had fun, but we've also had some great conversation. Again, I want to thank my guest and friend Gabriel for coming on the show, for sure. Everybody, please help me thank him as well. Again, Gabriel, if you could hang out, I would appreciate it for sure. Guys, gals, this was a different one for sure, but a fun one, I have to admit. This was just a fun one for sure. Uh, Victoria, love ya, babe. We love you, babe. Gabe, Gabe Fudge. That must be a personal one. He's laughing in the green room if you guys can see him. Anyway, I appreciate everybody that's kind of stuck around. I appreciate all the viewers that stick around. I hope you enjoyed this and got something out of it as well. Mr. Antoine, definitely appreciate you for sure. Like I said, I can't thank all the viewers enough for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this, like I said, as much as I enjoyed doing it and having Gabe on for sure. Again, like I said, with me, it's all about relationships, and I really try and work hard at building great friendships with all my guests that I bring on, and that's been the beauty of just the people I've connected with. I've been able to just build a good friendship, like I tell them, that goes beyond them coming on the show, because I know they're going to go on to do great things, and I'm going to enjoy watching them succeed in everything they do. Maybe working with them in some form or fashion, and somewhere down the line, you never know. It's all about building a community. With that, again, like I said, I can't thank you enough for sharing your Saturday with me. It's been just an amazing time. You gotta love it. I love doing this show each and every week. There's nothing more I can really say. I just love doing this show and connecting with you. Make sure, like I said, that you like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Granny, if you're still hanging around, I'm gonna do it. Make sure that you like, subscribe, hit the thumbs up, comment, share, all that good stuff. Make sure you do that over at the YouTube channel, because it definitely helps the channel to grow. It helps me to continue to create great content for sure. I can't thank you enough for sticking with me. As always, Miss Granny, I appreciate that. Miss Maggie, appreciate you for sure. Mr. Antoine, no problem, done. The show was great. I won't miss the next one. Please make sure you do. I know you can't catch everyone, but it's always good to see you on occasion in some of the shows in the comments, because like I said, you are a part of the Color of Motion family as well, Antoine. Like I said, I worked long and hard to get you on the show as much as I stalked you. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you being a part of the show for sure. Make sure you tune in next week, because we're going to have just as much fun for sure. Next week's guest, Mr. Ramzan Mulani, creature and character animator over in India. Does some amazing work as well. You will be blown away. So make sure you tune in. It's going to be fun for sure. But again, I'm going to close this one out. Thank you for tuning in and giving me a little piece of your Saturday there. I always appreciate that. With that, hey, it's time to close this one down. Make sure you tune in. Same bat time, same bat channel next week. Cheers.